Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Neo. Check out this really cool gingerbread holiday set I've got on the screen for you. So I'm just going to get started by showing you the current sets that I have, or at the time of the video. And this set in particular with the ombre blue snowflakes, I just wasn't feeling the blue. I don't know, blue just wasn't in my spirit. Also, I had to cut the nails down because I was trying to do my hair for the week, and I can do a lot of things with semi-long nails, but they were really long. These were the gel dupes. These are the Alchem, I think they were the clear gel X tips. They're like the XXXL. I'll link it down below. And I'll link the video for this design. It was actually really cool. Matte snowflake with crystals and pixies. Not pixies, but like caviar beads. Just really nice and simple. But I wasn't feeling the blue. So I'm just getting started with my straight edge clipper, just clipping them down to the length that I kind of know I can manage doing all of those things at. I'm also going to clip my right hand, but I'm not going to put that in the video. Once done with the length, beautiful French, love a deep, beautiful French, I'm going in with my 3x coarse 5-in-1 bit to remove the design and any of the gel that might have seeped through the edges. I do not have this E-file super high when doing this. The only thing I'm focusing on is removing the current design. These are not acrylic tips. These are gel dupe or gel X kind of tips. They're very thin. And this bit is super coarse. You can definitely go in with another bit that's less coarse than this, but it's just what I'm used to using. And I'm using extremely light pressure. So as you can see, all I'm focused on is removing the design, and I decided to use the clear tips. Normally I use the nude ones because they're just so much easier, but I don't know, I just wanted to use the clear ones. So as you can see, I am just removing the design, and the minute I see that natural nail through the design, I know that I'm good to go. One thing to keep in mind is that it's important to be very light-handed. You'll see that I've got my pinky rested on the nail. That's just acting as like a counterbalance where I can put the pressure on the pinky so that I can be super light-handed with this bit, especially as you see I'm getting super close to my cuticle and up right there, right to my eponychium. You don't want to, nick yourself or a client. And I'm just looking around to see if I see any lifting on maybe one or two of the nails. There were like little air bubbles right at the back of the cuticle area. So I do go in with this, I said E-file, with this bit and remove that, and I'm gonna refill these gel tips a little bit later. You're gonna see how I'm doing that. But for the most part, I am just removing the design so we can have something new. You will also notice that I've got my Young Nails dust collector down below. If you are a beginner nail tech, get a dust collector. It changes so much. I pretty much swear by this. I need this dust collector or any dust collector underneath my hands when I'm working or removing designs, etc. It really helps a lot. It doesn't remove every piece of dust, but it definitely helps. I started off using the McCart one, and I still have it. It works really well, but it's super loud. I will say that the Young Nails dust collector is a lot more slimmer in profile, so it doesn't like bulk up your desk, and it's I think it works better and it's quieter, so definitely look into that. So once done removing the design, I am just shaping really quickly and making sure that we have a nice tight square shape, because they were a little bit longer. They were more of like a tapered square to coffin, and now that I cut them down, they're a little bit more blunt. So I'm just making sure that the shape is what I like and that the free edge is nice and sharp. So at this point, I was a little bit nervous because I filed through the nails and some of them had a little bit of lifting at the back, or like air bubbles. So when I was removing, I did remove that. So there are gaps in there. So I'm gonna refill by using some nail gel. So I'm starting off with prep. I didn't show it on camera, but I dehydrated and removed any dust. This is my Valentino Super Bond. I love this primer. I use it all the time and it works for me. And as you can see, I'm only putting it towards the back cuticle area. Then I'm gonna take this building gel. It's not even a building gel. It's called nail glue, but really it's the gel that I use to apply these tips. It is by Beetles, and I'm literally using it to backfill that cuticle area in case I filed through, got to the natural nail, and or had to remove any lifting when I was removing the design. We all know what it's like when you're applying these gel tips, and maybe it's a perfect application, but at the last second there's a little air pocket right at the bottom of the cuticle. We've all done it, we've all been there. So I, in preparation for this new set, was like, let me just fill in any gaps or any areas where there's not enough gel or where there might have been lifting, so that when I go in with the new set, I know it's a stable base. So all I'm doing is one by one, especially focusing on the cuticle area, just adding more of that builder gel kind of to the back and then curing, and that's kind of gonna seal my gel tip back to my nail so that we have a nice foundation for a new set. I'm doing it one at a time, and I'm curing in between each time. And after curing my last nail, this is what they're looking like. Nice and fresh, no air bubbles, ready to go. So before getting into shaping and designing, we gotta clean off. This is a pure gel on top of the nail. Gotta use some alcohol to remove that inhibition layer. You don't want like dust to be, to get a little bit more alcohol. You don't want the dust to be sticking to this. You just kind of wanna clean off any stickiness that you can feel on the nail. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going back in with my nail file, and I am just sharpening up the shape, and I'm going to do a little bit of surface filing and applying that extra layer of gel to the top of these gel tips. I might have warped, especially the tip area, like the gel kind of flows down that way. So I'm just going to do a little bit of surface filing to make sure that the nails are nice and smooth. Occasionally you will see me run my thumb down the length of the nail. That's just me feeling for any lumps and bumps and any imperfections in the shaping of the nail. Nothing big here. I think the hand file I'm using is 100, so you don't even need anything crazy heavy too, because these are gel tips and they're fairly thin. So as we're going into the holiday season, I have been kind of transitioning my designs into more holiday inspired artwork, and as is my challenge to myself, I know we're not even in the new year yet, but I did push myself to say I'm going to do a lot more hand-drawn work. So after the hand filing, I am going to dehydrate, clean, remove the dust, and get into this design. So I knew I wanted to do a holiday set, but I didn't really have a point of reference or like where to start. I think scrolling through Instagram is great, but often I just get overwhelmed because there's like thousands of different things and I can't make my mind. So I actually went to Pinterest and typed in Christmas wrapping paper, and I saw the most gorgeous gingerbread paper, and I was like, you know what, that's what we're doing. We're going red, we're going brown, we're doing gingerbread. So that is the theme for today, and I'm just getting started by adding some nude base to I think 2 or 3 of the nails. This is a color by Kiara Sky, and I'm gonna cover it with another gel color to kind of smooth it out and give it more of the tone that I'm looking for. But in terms of hand designing, I cannot say it enough. It is best to work as thin as possible. The last thing you want to do is bulk up your nails if you know you're going to be doing a lot of hand work. And the cleaner and the slower you work, the better. As you can see, I'm taking my sweet time around the cuticle areas, especially for like a gel tip. The cleaner the application, the more flawless it looks, the more it looks less like a press-on your finger and like an actual kind of like acrylic kind of nail. So I'm extra cautious in painting around my cuticle, and you'll see me wiping my sidewalls like crazy. So this design was super complicated, and maybe not complicated. Each step wasn't difficult, but it was a lot to do. So hopefully you enjoy that process. Once done with this nude base, I'm gonna I'm gonna cure for 30 seconds to lock this color down. Here I'm going in with another kind of sheer, I would call this like a mauvey brown kind of color. So the original nude that I placed sometimes goes on a little bit patchy. I really love the tone of that polish, but it's really runny, kind of like watery, and doesn't really sit like thick on the nail for coverage. So I decided to go in with this kind of mauvey brown sheer. It's a sheer gel, and I am going over it to kind of fill in and warm up that base. And I think it just helped to kind of make it more opaque. It shifted the color a little bit and just ensured that I won't get streaks or patches through that base, because it's the foundation of everything we're going to build on top of it. I think on this middle nail I end up changing my mind and it's not nude anymore, but it's the same thing. You can see the difference in the color of the nails that I painted and that first pointer finger. So that's what each nail is going to get. Make sure you clean your sidewalls and work as thin as possible to avoid bulk. Speaking of jellies, I didn't intend to use a jelly red polish, but I think it worked out really well. And I like how translucent it is a little bit. This is a jelly red color from iGel Beauty. I remember when I first started doing nails, iGel was the jam. Not only was it super affordable, but they have pretty much everything that you might need as a beginner nail tech. I advise to go there. I still use a lot of the gels that I got from there, and this is one of them. They have fantastic jelly polishes. This one is kind of like a candy apple red, and I think it looked great. I'm gonna go in with 2 coats on this thumbnail, and it's going to be fabulous. After curing, I'm going in with my second coat, and what I really like about this jelly red nail is that you can actually see through it in person, but you get the full color of the pigment from that jelly polish, so it's really great. Second coat does not need to be thick because you already have the base. I just wanted to make sure that you couldn't see my natural nail through it, but it's a beautiful red, clean, and cure. On my pinky, I'm gonna do like a swirly French with that same jelly red color. I kind of cheated. I'm using a red liner brush that comes already in a gel. So all I did was mix that brush with the red jelly polish so that it would be a similar color, but I'm just drawing on kind of like this curvy French on my pinky to kind of tie in with the thumb color. So let's get into this whole design, because there's lots of things happening here, and the first thing that I had my mind set on was to do a red plaid. So on my thumb and on the pinky French that you just saw me do, I'm going to be building up my own custom plaid design. So this first stripe that you see happening is basically black, that candy red gel, and base coat that I mixed together to get this sheer kind of black color. And I'm using my longest, thinnest, liner brush to kind of get these beautiful long lines. In terms of hand designing, I find the brush does the work for you. So like in this case, you're not going to see me drawing tiny little strokes. I'm basically laying the brush on the nail and dragging. And if your brush is in a good state and it's not like super frizzy or whatever, the brush kind of does the work for you. You don't have to focus on having a super steady hand. I sometimes, like if it's a long stroke, I will rotate the hand that I'm drawing on and keep my drawing hand still, if that makes sense. Once done drawing like a cross with that jelly kind of sheer black, I'm going in with actual black and just filling in that box of the place where they kind of intersect. And I'm going from the pinky to the thumb, back to the pinky to the thumb, because they're both going to get this plaid design. And I just wanted to make sure that I was being, I guess, like cohesive, or what's the word? It's not cohesive, but just doing the same steps at the same time so that I don't forget anything. Now I'm going in with pure black. So this is like straight black, and I want the tiniest, thinnest line. As you can see, I'm not really moving my right hand with the brush. I am rotating my left hand. So that's what I mean. You just place it on the nail and kind of drag, and you want to keep it as still as possible, and as light of a touch as possible. This black line is like super, super thin, and that's what you want. You don't want all of your lines on your plaid to be like super chunky. So the lighter touch, the better it's gonna be. And I'm doing the same thing on the pinky as well. Do note that I am curing between every single step. So the next color in question is white. And again, using extremely light touch and a thin line, I am drawing the white on top of the thick sheer black lines, like right in the middle. You'll see right on top of this thick black line, I am placing the white stripe, and you see how nice and thin that stripe is. Oh, I had to like bring it close to my face. And I'm gonna go across it in the opposite direction as well. But just note, I am placing the brush and then dragging it very slowly to get a very straight line. So the plaid is coming along nicely, but I needed a little bit of sparkle. So I've got some metallic gold glitter gel polish on my brush now. And this line is even thinner, if not the same as the white line. And it's just slowly building up the pattern. I'm not gonna lie, when I was doing this, I was thinking, damn, I wanna do like an emerald green plaid nail for the holidays. Maybe I'll do that next. But I think drawing plaids was just really fun. And I think it was cool to see it kind of come together. At this point, you can make as many lines as you want. You can kind of do them in any direction. So maybe I'll do another green plaid nail, because I did have fun doing this and I really like the way that it came out. So at this point, I am just doing more crosses with the individual colors, and I wanted a little bit more gold, so I'm actually going to do 2 gold horizontal lines and 1 vertical gold line on both the pinky and my thumb. And check this out, the plaid looks really cool. I am super proud of it, and it's nice and clean and simple. So next, to base the pinky kind of swervy French, I'm just going in with my white gel, and I'm just gonna draw a little border between the nude and the plaid, just so that it has something to kind of make it stand out, because it was just kind of dull on the nude like that, but this white is kind of like, look at me, I'm here. So I'm gonna do that, and then when happy, I'm gonna care. I decided to go in with a dotting tool and add a single white dot at the cross of the white on those nails. And the plaid is pretty much done for now. So I'm heading into that middle finger. I did say that I ended up changing it. And because it was nude underneath, nude and jellies, you don't need a lot of gel to cover that. As you can see, we've got full coverage already. So I'm actually only going in with 1 coat of this gel, because I decided to change it to a red nail. I felt like it was too much nude happening, and red is the star of the show. So we are just adding a nice coat. Remember, being super careful around the cuticle area so that you have a nice clean appearance to your nail, cleaning your sidewalls, and then locking that down by curing. So this nail, I decided I wanted a sweater nail. You can't have Christmas nails without a sweater nail, so I'm going in with my matte top coat. This is Matted by Not Polish, and I am just going to mattify this red nail, get it ready so that we can add that sweater texture. I'm going to cure for 1 minute to make sure that this is nice and matte. So for my sweater nail, I'm actually going in with the same red jelly polish, and we are using another thin, super thin liner, and we are just going to build up our sweater pattern. So if you are someone who's a little bit more nervous, definitely take your time. I did the entire nail at once. You can do it in parts, like draw an area, add your acrylic and cure, draw an area, add your acrylic and cure, but I did the entire nail with the gel design before being like, yeah, I'm good to go. And there's lots of sweater references. If you just type in sweater nails on Pinterest or Google, you'll see different types. I kind of just winged it. I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I just wanted a little bit of texture in this design. So you can definitely just see what I'm drawing here. It's not a complicated design. I'm just doing zigzags back and forth. And then I'm going to add some dots on the outside portions of those vertical lines that I drew. Just work as thin as possible, because to get the sweater nail technique, you need to coat your wet gel with acrylic or a powder before curing. And what the powder is going to do is it's going to coat the lines that you're drawing. So if you're drawing super chunky lines, your sweater design is going to be even thicker than you drew it. So my focus here was to draw them as thin as possible, because I knew that they were going to get a little bit thicker with the acrylic that I'm going to use later. I'm going to go in with a clear acrylic. I just grabbed one that I had that I kind of forgot that I had, but it's a really good acrylic. You can use anything. You can use colored acrylic if you want to. You can use glitter. I've done that before, but basically you're just doing like a sugar pattern and coating your wet gel. Then you're going to cure, dust off the excess, and this nail is basically done. Here we go. This is actually kind of cool because you can see my design a little bit better than that red on red, but as you can see, I'm giving it a generous coating. You don't want to be skimpy with the acrylic in this case because you want it to be super textured. So that's my beautiful pattern. Once happy, I think I'm going a little bit overboard, but once happy, I'm going to cure and then brush off the excess, and we'll have a beautiful red sweater nail down the center of my set. So on the nail that I left clear, I wanted to do something with a little bit of a shimmer. This is a super fun cat eye gel polish. It's kind of like a shimmery gold silver kind of color. I got this from Amazon, and it's one of my favorite gel cat eye polishes, just because it's just a shimmer. It's not like a specific color, so you can put it on kind of anything. Now I'm going in with my magnet, and we're just gonna do like a diagonal shimmer design, pushing the product so that it shimmers diagonally. I just wanted a hint of something sparkly. In the end, it didn't even matter because I went matte on this nail, but gosh, we love a cat eye nail. So here we go in terms of the hand design work. This again wasn't particularly difficult, but I think just starting is the hard part and just being like, I can do this. So we are drawing a gingerbread man, a giant one, on this ring finger. And I started off with his hat. Initially, the design was going to have 2 or 3 gingerbreads kind of stacked on each other. That's what I saw in the reference photo of that like Christmas wrapping paper. I initially tried it. I didn't put it in the video, but I didn't have enough nail to stack 2 gingerbreads. Like, they would have to be super tiny for me to do it. And I was like, I just chopped off like the rest of my nails at the beginning of the video. So let's just do one giant one on this finger. So that's what I did. So in order to make sure that the spacing was correct, I started with the top of his head, because I knew like if I started at the bottom or the middle of the nail, like drawing his body, I didn't know where his head was going to lay, and I wanted to make sure that I fit in his Christmas hat. So I started from the top, and you can see I'm just using a thin black brush to kind of draw or sketch in that design. And at this point, it's very loose. Like when I'm drawing these sketches, I am not looking for details. I'm just drawing in the major shapes. So that I can kind of visualize where things are going to go. On this pointer finger, that's when we're going to get the other 2 gingerbread. I was trying to build up a pattern, but again, I just don't have a lot of nail, and I wanted to ensure that I could fit 2 gingerbreads on here. So I put one in the bottom right corner and one at the top left corner of the nail, and I'm doing it the same way. So well, I guess he's upside down right now, but just sketching really quickly, starting off with his head, making sure that his hat fits into the shape, and then, you know, curing that sketch. You can see it's super, super rough, but I kind of have the general overall shape of what I'm looking for. On this nail, I actually drew in a present because I started at the top of the nail, which means that at the bottom of the nail, there's a lot of free space. I was like, what can I put down here to kind of fill this in? I thought about like doing a snow mound, but I didn't want random white paint at the bottom cuticle of this nail, so I just drew a little present towards the left bottom by his foot over there. So that's where you see that little square happening. So I'm going in with the same nude color that I used on the base of my nail, and I'm only going to fill it in on this nail because it had a kind of clear shimmery background. The gingerbread on the other nail that's already nude are not going to get painted in because they're already nude. But yeah, I'm just lightly filling it in, and as you can see, I am not going in with a super thick like amount of product. I am just getting the minimum amount of coverage that I need. When working on hand designs, you want to work as thin as possible. So I'm filling in my Christmas box right now. Just one thing to keep in mind in terms of like hand designs is just do the large shapes first. The details come later. That's what I'm learning. And it kind of helps to remove, I guess, anxiety around thinking that I'm capable or not capable of doing the work. I feel like when I break up designs into just general kind of abstract shapes, they're just a little bit more approachable. So like that Christmas box looks like a blob for now, but it will look like a box later. And the gingerbread kind of looks like a blob now, but details will come in later. So I just think it's smarter for you if you're nervous nail tech or artist about attempting, more complicated work. Just break them into smaller kind of abstract shapes that you can kind of add detail to later. I talk about that a lot in my last video when I did the pop art nails. I'll link that in the cards for you to check out so you can see how I did that there as well. But I feel, or at least I felt when I was doing this set, a lot less pressure because I kind of know that I can, I guess believing is the first step. Believe in yourself. Now we're going in with some white, and I was actually going to paint it, but I was like, you know what? This is supposed to be a fluffy part of the hat. Let me use a dotting tool to fill in the fluff of their Christmas hats. So as you can see, I'm just going in one color at a time and kind of building the design rather than trying to do the whole thing in one shot. So I'm using a dotting tool to kind of color in the fluff. What was it? I think I was watching something. Color in the fluff of their Christmas hats. And I think it was cool because it just made it look like abstract and kind of like cotton, Cotton doesn't come in like perfectly round or sculpted shapes. It's more fluffy and, whatever. And I'm carrying between every single step. So at this part in the design, I was kind of like, cool, I like what's happening on the snail, but we need something to fill in the spaces between. So I decided to draw some twinkle stars. I always start my twinkle stars with a sheer kind of ball that's white and gel put together, like clear base gel put together. And you're gonna see why. I'm adding random dots. And then I'm taking a tinier dotting tool and I'm adding pure white to the center of those kind of sheer balls. And then I'm gonna use my brush to kind of drag out the twinkle stars. You're definitely gonna see what it looks like of what I'm describing. It's not on this nail, but it's on the nail with the two gingerbread men. I just wanted to add like snow to the background or shimmer or something, I don't know, to the background. There we go. I'm adding a white dot to the previous kind of sheer balls of white that I had. Then I'm gonna flip my brush over or grab a thinner brush and then just use that wet dot that we just added to draw out 4 little strokes that look like that twinkle star. And basically the gel that you put in the background, like that sheer white, kind of is like the glow of that twinkle star. So I really love this trick. I think it looks super cool. And yeah, it's an easy thing to do in the background of a design that just kind of adds a pop of something but is not too much on you. So there you go, there's my twinkles. And now it looks like it's snowing in the background. I also decided to add some gold dots as well to kind of tie in with the gold that we have throughout the design. Now it's getting real. I'm going in with my black and we are just going to start adding those fine details. First of all, we got to add some eyeballs to our gingerbread men and some buttons. I'm using dotting tools for this. You definitely don't want to draw circles with a brush. Just use a dotting tool. I love these brushes that I'm using. They come from Amazon and I have been using them since I was a beginner. I'm still technically a beginner nail tech. I've only been doing nails about two and a half years now. I got these on Amazon. They're super affordable, and they are, as you can see on the screen, one side is a brush, one side is a dotting tool, and I believe it comes in a set of like 7, and it was just really handy for me to have all of those tools in one little affordable set. It couldn't have been more than like $8 or $9, and as you can see, I'm still using them to this day. Each brush has its own size dotting tool and the type of brush. So as you can see, this one is like super, blue one, it's like super long, super thin. The green one might be a little bit shorter and thicker. So you can do a lot with the brush set instead of buying like a crap ton of like other brushes. They're not the highest quality, but they definitely help get the job done. And as you can see, I'm doing not so bad with this set. So I'm just going in with my black and adding all the details, starting off with the face and the buttons. And then in terms of the buttons, I think I went in with my gold and used a tinier dotting tool, and we're just adding gold buttons to our gingerbread man. Slowly it's happening. So that's what I was saying like before. I didn't do very much, right? I drew these large blobs, I filled in them with color, and somehow we have a gingerbread man that's smiling at us. So I decided to, you know, be extra, and since there was a red Christmas present by his foot, I was like, let's add the same plaid pattern that I had on the plaid to this Christmas package. So in a super tiny, and it did come out exactly the same, I'm drawing the same plaid pattern in the same way I did before. So starting off with those 2 sheer crosses, and then filling in that black area, then adding the black line, and the white line, then the gold lines, and then outlining. So that's what's happening here on the Christmas package. You saw me do it on the French nail and on my thumb. It's the same exact thing. So if you noticed, my gingerbread man all have like a curvy arm. Each of them has a little arm that's kind of wrapped around themselves. That's because they're holding candy canes. So in the print, each gingerbread man is holding a candy cane, so I kind of had to sketch for that. That's why each of the arms were a little bit like crooked. Now that the body is kind of done, I'm going in with the candy cane. If I tried to draw this candy cane in the beginning, it definitely just would have been too difficult. That's what I mean by going in with the general shapes first and then adding the details later. So I'm just drawing a kind of candy cane. It's straight under his hand and then kind of curves as the top comes out, and it kind of looks like he's holding it. So I'm going to do that on this finger with the large guy and with the 2 little guys as well, making sure to cure it between every single step. And I mean, you can't have a candy cane without the stripes. Personally, my favorite candy canes were like the candy flavored ones, the ones that were like blue or like green that tasted like Starbursts. But you know, the traditional peppermint one, we've got to get those stripes in there. So I'm doing a thin stripe and then a thicker stripe going up the entire length of the candy cane, and I'm going to do that on both nails. Because these 2 gingerbread men have candy canes facing in the opposite directions, I'm going to be drawing the stripes in the opposite directions. I also think it just adds a little bit more interest so that it doesn't look like I'm just copy pasting the same thing. It's filling in different areas of the nail. So on the bottom right candy cane, I was going diagonally to the left, and on this one, I'm going diagonally to the right. And here is where everything's gonna kind of start coming together. So I've got my thin black liner brush. You can see my little plaid Christmas box there looking all nice. And this is the time where we're gonna be outlining everything in black. So this is where the design is just gonna kind of come together, and it's gonna look like you planned all this beautiful detail when really all I did was, do it one step at a time. I find the black is it's the part that kind of just makes things come to life. One thing to keep in mind is to work as thin as possible. Even if your brush is like barely touching your nail, you do not want super thick black lines, because all it will do is kind of obscure all the fine detail work. So I'm working with a very, very thin brush, and I'm using a very tiny amount of gel. Like, I'm not getting like a ball of gel at the tip of the brush. I want to make sure that my lines are nice and thin. What the black is doing is kind of separating it from the background and making that item kind of stand out. I'm taking my time, and this video is beyond, I think it's like 4 times sped up. That's how slow I was working, but as you can see, it is just slowly coming together. I'm gonna do this for every single thing that I've drawn on both nails, making sure to cure in between. And because it's gel polish, if you make a mistake, all you gotta do is just wipe it off and start over. Shout out to whoever created gel polish, because I can only imagine doing something like this like 15-20 years ago with like regular polishes. Oh my god, that must be so stressful. But yeah, if you feel like you're doing a great job, maybe even flash cure, like stick your hand in your lamp if you're happy with a certain area and then continue. The whole point is to work smarter, not harder. And look at how cute this gingerbread man is coming out with just a little bit of a black outline. I'm just gonna outline his puff, and I'm not making it like a super perfect circle because it's a cotton puff, hopefully, or whatever the fabric is on Christmas hats. And look at him, he's nice and happy. He's holding a candy cane. He's got a box down below. Let's get his little siblings outlined as well. So here's a prime example of me not liking that. I felt like the lines were a little bit too thick, so I just took a piece of napkin, wiped it off, and I'm just gonna start over. Love, love, love this about gel polish. What is your favorite color to wear on your nails for the holidays? I know that white is like super popular. Everybody does the snowflakes in the white. I'm doing red. Obviously red is really popular. But like earlier I said in the video, I'm really curious to see a green plaid nail. Like that is not something that I see often. Maybe I can do some tree work in there. If you've got any colors that you prefer to wear, I think like deep royal blue or like deep navy blues with like shimmer on top is really cool. So I'm kind of thinking of things that I want to try. Look, I made another mistake. That I want to try for the Christmas set. And what am I doing? I think I just made a mistake. No biggie. But yeah, tell me what color you think you'd like to wear on your nails for the holiday season. And maybe I'll steal somebody's idea. Maybe. Now that I'm done with the outlining, we can see how awesome these designs look. I gotta add some icing to my gingerbread men. So I'm just taking a little bit of white gel, and on each limb, so on his arms and on his ankles, we are just drawing some squiggly white lines, and that's gonna be our icing to kind of give a little bit more detail to our gingerbread men. Everyone, check out what this set is looking like. Super proud, lot of work, but not that bad. So at this point, I was like, we need to add a little bit of sparkle. So I'm going in with some bling gel. I believe this is the McCart one. And on this nail, I actually went matte with Matte It, or is it Matte It? This is Gloss It from Not Polish. And I am floating on some gel gloss top on top of that bling gel. So you have 2 layers of gel, and we're just gonna add a gold bow that I found in my little stash of charms and things like that. I found it in like a little spinny wheel from Amazon. You can get these for like no money at all. And when I was a beginner, I bought basically all of them. So I thought it was just really cool that I found a little gold bow. And since I had gold accents in the plaid anyway, I was like, instead of that white dot being there, I'm just gonna add that bow right on that dot. So for the plaid nails and on the present, actually, I'm going to be adding that gold bow charm, adding 2 layers of gel. These are going to be glossy, just making sure that I'm coating everything appropriately and giving enough of the gel so that this charm has something to stick into. I am also, I don't think I put it in the video, but I do go over the charms with the glossy top coat again, making sure, one, to seal in all the edges, because when I did this design at first, I didn't do that. The charms didn't come off, but they snagged really bad, especially like when I was touching my hair, because it's not a flat shape, that bow. So one tip is to kind of curve your charms before placing them, or just apply gel on top of, especially metal charms, because they tarnish anyway, just so that you don't get a lot of snagging. But look at how cute that thumb is. Super, super, super cute. Then I was like, let me add some gold studs to the gold lines. So first it was like in the intersections, but I was like, this is kind of cool. The gel is still wet at this point. That's the beautiful thing about doing gel for your bling or charm application. And besides my hair coming in the camera, I am just going to be adding these gold, super tiny, they're like square stud or like pyramid shapes, but they're like super flat on the gold lines, wherever the gold is. So I think there's one vertical gold line and 2 horizontal gold lines. I'm just adding these charms on there just for a hint of interest and texture and something sparkly to kind of just catch your eye a little bit. Once happy, I'm going to clean my sidewalls and cure this nail to lock it down. I'm going to do the same thing on my pinky finger and on the present that's on his by his leg as well. So I wanted to add a little bit more sparkle. At this point, everything is like super flat and it's cool, lots of, you know, interest, but I wanted to add some bling to the Christmas hats. So I added some bling gel to there. I am going matte on top of the hand-drawn nails because I just think that hand-drawn art looks good matte, not all the time, but most of the time. So the gel is on their little hat, and I am going to be sticking in some red rhinestones. These are not flat backs, they're kind of like those triangle pointy backs. So I'm adding 2 or 3 together and bunching those backs together so that they're not snagging up off the nail. And as you can see, it just adds a tiny bit of sparkle to their little hat. So it's a matte nail with a little bit of sparkle coming through. And then, because I was on a roll, I added even more charms. So instead of having just the gold paint buttons, I am adding some bling gel as tiny as I can to wherever the buttons of the gingerbread men are. And I'm going to add those same gold charms that I did on my plaid to the center pieces or the center buttons of my little gingerbread men. So I wanted to add this really cool charm to my sweater nail, but didn't want to put the gel on the sweater nail because it is a matte nail. So I decided to add the gel to the back of the charm so that the only place this shiny gel would be is on the charm. Like if I had applied the gel to my nail, who knows where it would have gone, and it might have just messed up the texture sweater effect. So consider doing that if you don't want to get glossy gel on top of your matte nail. At this point, I haven't cured, so I can still kind of move things around, and I'm adding additional gel because I wanted to do just a tiny bit more of bling and add some caviar beads to kind of tie in with the gold. So first, I'm adding these kind of iridescent, they're not crystal AB, but they're kind of like an iridescent rhinestone just for a touch more of sparkle. And I'm going to be using some gold caviar beads to kind of outline the sides of the overall charm, just to add a little bit of gold. I just thought that the sweater nail needed a touch of gold because every other nail had gold in it. So that's what I'm doing. Last thing is to add these caviar beads. So I added just a little sliver of gel on the sides of this charm, and there was some gel that kind of oozed out on the side, so this is doubly great. I'm just using my pencil to pick up a whole bunch and then placing them and spreading them out as they're on the nail versus trying to pick up like one bead at a time. I find that's the best way to kind of work with caviar beads. Just pick up a whole bunch and then move them where you need them to. And the great thing about using gel is that you can take it off if you don't like it. Just get an alcohol wipe, clean off the nail, and you're still fine. So this sweater nail, once happy, I'm going to cure and lock that one down. Then the set is basically done. This was another one that took a long time, and I'm slowly pushing myself. The design, looking at it now, doesn't look very complicated, but I just think that because I've struggled so much with thinking I couldn't, I always approach it that way, but I'm really glad that I'm pushing myself to try more artsy stuff. What is your New Year's resolution for nail art for yourself, or just nails in general? Are you focusing on better shaping? Are you focusing on better adhesion? Do your clients' nails pop off easily? Do your nails pop off easily? Are you focused on gel application? Are you focused on just design work in general, like coming up with more cohesive designs? Maybe it's marketing. Definitely check out this set. It is so cute and just a different vibe completely from that blue set that I had before. I'm gonna try and do another green plaid set because that's definitely on my spirit. Thank you so much for watching this one. Like if you like, subscribe for more, leave a comment down below of what color you'd like this set in, and I'll see you in the next one.